Okay, let's talk about section 3. This is sometimes the section that's called Moyin girk, which means the invisible kick. I like to think of it as the Kwan section because that's kind of the prominent motion that starts the section out. So, section 3. We ended our previous section. We're here. We either go right from this position or we're already in this position. But now our hands shoot out in the jumsao motion. Just like this. This is right out of the second form. Remember the second form? You open the second form, it shoots forward. That's the same motion. We're starting here, or just starting from our hands back, and we're shooting forward. Jumsao. We're catching that line and sinking inward. It's the exact same thing. If I was starting from here, boom, boom, inward jumsao, and then once I've gone inward jumsao, I do the double hunsao. Double hunsao, and the thing is I want to keep my elbows down. They have to flare a little bit because I'm separating the arms, but I don't want to do this, right? It's a motion here, and then strike low, and then we're going to strike high. So I've come forward, double hunsao. When I strike low, I'm striking with the palms of my hand, and I sink a little bit. Boom! And then I come up with a double tansao. And then as I strike high, like I'm striking under the guy's chin, I rise a little bit. Boom. So again, I shoot forward, strike low, strike high, and then as I come back to the arms, I do a double jetsao. Boom, like this. So the first time it's going forward, now it's retracting, so it's a jetsao. Okay, so again, the series is shoot forward, hunsao, strike low, tansao, strike high, jetsao. Right? So I'm here, I shoot forward, strike low, strike high, jetsao. And then from this double jetsao position, I like to kind of pause, and I'm kind of moving it around. Now we're going to go into the Kwan sao. So from here, I turn, and it's this rolling action. 1, 2, 3. Right? So some people will call this a tansao. It's not a tansao. A tansao spreads. This is coming across the top. This is a gansao, right? A hunsao with one hand, and a gansao with the other. And since it's got this flowing quality to it, it's rolling. It's a kwansao. It's rolling hands, just like this is kwansao. One is inside and one is outside. This is an outside kwansao, hoi kwansao, and this is an inside kwansao, noi kwansao, hoi and noi. Just kind of two sides of the same coin, right? And again, this is a high gansao. This is not a tansao. Gansao, when we talk about gansao, we usually think this is gansao because that's how we do it in the second form, or in the first form. Well, we do it in the first form, but we haven't put the punch with it. So most of the time, you think in a gansao, you've replaced the top with a punch, because this is gansao. This is just the lower gan, and this is the upper gan. And if you think about it, the gansao is this cutting, sweeping motion, right? And this top hand is doing the exact same thing. It's sweeping across. It's not spreading, so it's not a tansao. I've also seen it called a ganjom. Ganjom, well, this is not a jumsao, right? It's not sinking in any way. It's cutting across. This is just the upper version of this lower hand. So this is gansao. Some people, when you do it doubled like this, will change it and call it a kansao with a K. But they're just playing games because I think in Chinese there's no real distinction. This is gansao. It's just that sometimes we do the gansao with a punch. Right? But gansao is a two-handed motion. Okay? So that we're using the upper gansao with the hunsao with this rolling. And again, I don't want to flare my elbow out like this. I keep that elbow down because it's a hunsao, like this. So the motion is here with the pivot. And a nice little snap. So it's 1, 2, 3, strike high, and then I'm going to drop my arms back, because again, like we talked before, that's not a bangsao. Here, my hands come back, and now I can take a little step. There's my bangsao. And then I'm going to do the step around, I come up, and this is the Moyin girk, the invisible kick, here. Then I come back down, and then again, 1, 2, 3, and this time I stop. Strike low with a jut and a strike. hands come back, long sao, the little step around, the Moyin girk, pow, and then back, and then I step to center, to square up, strike again, down, up. Okay, so that's section 3. So again, I'm here, straight forward. Boom, boom. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'll do it again with the slow and heavy version. Okay, so that's the sequence. So let's talk about what we're doing. Again, we've got, here's a chance to practice something from the Chung Q form. Boom, that boom, 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 boom. We could practice that. Boom, hit, right? Boom, hit. And that hit is exactly the same thing we did in the first section, where we came up, came through, and we hit like this, and pulled down. But in this case, the idea is somebody's reaching up to grab us. It's the reason we're doing both hands at the same time. And it's like I'm caught by surprise. Somebody reaches up to grab me, and I boom, and I sink in, and I immediately got both his hands crossed. And from there, then there would be that step, and pa! And this would come directly under his chin to his neck. So again, you don't have to think of this as a specific sequence. I can use any part of this. And in this case, you probably would do this. Or somebody's reaching for me. Get his arms, boom, and I'm hitting to knock him back. Okay? This one from below, it's more likely the guy was reaching for me, and now he connects, right? He's grabbed me by the neck, kind of like almost like a Thai boxer's plume, and he's going to pull me down, right? And as he starts to pull me down, my hands are low, I sink, and these hands go boom right to his hips. Because if he's pulling me down, the assumption is he's pulling me down to hit me with a knee. And when I catch him right on the hips, I kill that momentum so he can't throw that knee, right? Boom. And then that lifting action, that double tan sao, could have been a tak sao to his arms to break his grip. It could have been a rising strike with both hands. It could be any number of things, right? Because if he's got a good grip on me, just because I've stopped him, I'm probably not going to split his arms out with a tan sao, right? So again, don't think of it as this linear sequence so much. Just think of how you could use the different elements of it. Somebody grabbing and yanking my head down, and as I feel myself going forward, boom, I block the hips. And that is exactly the same thing we did in the Suan Tao form. Boom. We're doing it like that on the dummy. Okay? This coming up, again, could be the guy's reaching for me, and I can't come from the outside, so as his hands are coming out at me, I come from the inside. So I split them out. I split them out just enough as I'm going forward to strike. And it could be both hands, or I could just split them out to one hand. Almost like that section we did for the opening, right? Bam, bam. I'm just coming up. Pow. And these are some of the few times that we'll use both hands like that and not be one hand defending and the other hand striking, because here I'm blocking both hips, and when I'm hitting this way, I'm trying to come to his throat, under his jaw, so I can force him back off balance. You know, the old saying, where the head goes, the body follows. And in this case, I'm coming right up the center to knock him back to make an opening. Okay, and it could have been from any kind of position, right? This could come from anything. It doesn't have to be from the double tan sao. Now, we've been doing this motion as a transition between all of the sequences, right? That's the typical thing. Boom, boom, hit, close. Well, what are we doing with that Kwan sao, the way Kwan sao? Here, one way to look at it we could think of this as a wrong side gansao, just like we had a wrong side bangsao. Something's happened, and I've crossed to cover, and I'm on the inside. Well, if this is truly the guy's right arm, and I'm on the inside of his right arm, I'm very vulnerable to what's going on over there, right? So the minute I get to that point, I don't want to be there, so I hyun sao it out of the way, strike. That immediate reaction, like an oh shit, boom, boom, boom. That's one way of thinking of it. Boom. The other way of thinking of it is I'm on the right side, I'm on the outside of his arm, and this is coming. This hand's still in play, so I take this one off the line, and I catch that one. And of course, immediately, I'd probably be hitting with this. Boom. Boom. But the idea is just I have to catch that. I'm here, I catch this one. I've done something, could have been a pox out, could be anything. I'm on this arm, and this arm is in play. It's coming towards me, and I catch it this way. So now I've taken this arm, deflected it, and I've deflected this one this way. So I've turned the guy. The dummy's not going to turn for me, but technically if I did that to somebody, we're going along, boom, I'd expect him to spin. And so now I've got a Ying facing him on the outside, boom. I'm square to him, and he's turned. And then from there, right, that's the hit. So imagine I've done something over here, pow. Whatever's happening, pow. Something's happening, pow. So that's, I turn him, and then this hand is going to trap, boom, as that one hits. I turn the guy, boom, boom, boom. It's whatever I'm going to do is my follow-up. I turn him, and then I'm on him. Something's happened, we're interacting. It's like, whoa, something's coming at me. I managed to contact, inside this hand out of the way, trap that one, and then coming up the front. Boom, pop, pop, pop. Contact, boom, pop, 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 pop. Okay, that's a simple idea, right? And that turn him, trap and hit. Turn him off, trap and hit. And that turn him off, that strike could have gone low. If I'm pushing him aside, more likely it's going to stay on top. Boom, and trap as I go over the top. Okay? So why are we rolling with it? In this case, I'm mixing up, and again, it'd be better if I had somebody here I could demonstrate with, but we're in close. I'm not standing back here and he's throwing a punch and I'm catching the jab and then I'm catching the cross. No, that's bullshit. We're already in contact. Something's happening. We're mixed it up. My arms are here, and I turn him off this way, but maybe he ducks and moves and they flows, so then this hand is catching on the outside of this hand and turning him again. And that one can be the strike. So in other words, I turn his hands off, then I catch his other hand, boom, and hit him. Boom, that quick. Just a quick bam, 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 bam. Right? This one turns his hands off, and then this one, instead of staying on the same arm, might have caught the opposite arm and turned him for the hit. Like that. Right? So think of it that way. That continuous rolling. Now, one variation I like to do, this is Kwan sao. I can do the other Kwan sao too. We do the Kwan sao all the time down here, but I can do it here as a way to practice it. And if you look at Shu Shongting's form, he was one of Ip Man's students, for whatever reason, he went back and he put this motion into the form. So this is in the Shu Shongting lineage dummy form, doing the Kwan sao this way instead of this way. See, it's still rolling, it's just a matter of how you want to do it. So I like to, sometimes I'll do, since it's on both sides, right? Sometimes I'll do 1, 2, 3, boom, boom, boom. Then I'll do this side, 2, 3, boom, boom. Just for variety's sake, okay? But you can put that in there just to have it to practice. And remember, in this case, I think I talked about it before, but this Kwan sao is seen as a way to get out of having your arms pinned. That's why you would do it more than once. Somebody's pressing me, and I roll out with Kwan sao, and then maybe this one catches his other arm, and I roll again, and I've pinned it, and this hand is on top, so I can go at the guy. Right? So that's that double roll
to get out of a bad situation. Boom, boom, pop, pop. My arms are down, maybe he's about to get me pinned, so I step and I roll out. And then maybe I have to roll again to make an opening. So there's a use for that rolling double Kwan sao. Okay? Now the kick, Moyin girk, invisible kick. The kicks in Wing Chun in general are often referred to as invisible kicks simply because they're done from so close in, right? And they come directly up from the ground, so they're hard to see because the guy's attention is up here on your arms. It's not like you're standing way back here and he can see you developing for a kick, or he can see you about to deliver this kick. They come from the ground, so they're very hard to see. They're not telegraphic, and we're in close. And usually I'm doing something with my arms, so I have his attention, and I kick. That's why they call them invisible kicks, Moyin girk. So the first kick that we did in the last section was kind of, we stepped back, so it's easier to see, but I've off-balanced the guy before I throw the kick to make it safer. But it's not that invisible. So that's why this next kick gets the designation, the invisible kick, because it's the first one we've done. It's that standard kind of Wing Chun kick. This one is aimed at the knee. So you imagine you're hitting the guy right here at the knee to collapse his stance. You do a ton and a palm strike, just like we did in the dummy walk in the first section, but that's just a reference point. You'll find in the dummy, sticking that tan sao out there and contacting the arm is just a handy reference point to indicate that I'm done something. I've contacted the guy. I'm in contact with my opponent. I'm not doing it from out of contact. It doesn't have to be a tan sao. It could be anything, right? Tan sao is just a reference, just like it's kind of a standard reference in the Silum Tao form. So this doesn't have to mean that I did a tan sao and I'm striking the guy in the ribs as I kick his leg, right? More likely it's going to be I've done something, I've pushed him off, I've got a hold of him, and as I'm holding him, I kick him. And usually, if we think of the dummy, this is the straight out line, and the line from the center of the dummy that comes on the 45-degree line. We're usually trying to stay right on that 45-degree line, because if I'm too narrow, I cramp my technique, it doesn't work well. And if I'm too wide, I may be off, I'm not going into his center. This is the one, this kick and the kick where we use the back leg are the two where we break that rule. And you can be on the 45-degree line, or you can be a little bit wider, right? I don't have to stay right on this 45-degree. I could have stepped a little deeper and been out here. Because again, the idea kind of is, I've done something, I've turned the guy off, so I've got him in this kind of position, and when I've turned him off, then I kick his leg to make him go down, or at least to further disrupt his balance, right? It's not like I'm just standing there and I kick his leg. I've done something. I've turned the guy, and then I kick his leg. Kick him right to the back of the knee. Boom, boom, turn the guy, kick his leg. And like I said, most likely it's going to be almost like I've done a lop sao. I'm firming up his shoulder. Again, I wish I had a partner to show you, but I just turn the guy, and I kick his knee, boom, boom, and then I'd hit him as he goes down. So think of it that way. It wouldn't necessarily have to be tan sao and a strike. This just represents contact in the arm, contact in the body. Boom. And some lineages you'll see, they'll do that. They'll come out here, and then they'll do like they're holding on to the guy to do this kick. Okay? And the kick is with the heel, right here, this part of the heel. Okay. And then just like before we talked about, I kick the guy, as I kick down, I'm covering myself with the gan sao. Right? And then if this comes back to center, to close the section. Okay? So that's the two major elements. This is a version of the Popeye palms, which comes in the next section. It's kind of like a preview. Then we got the Kwan sao, and we got the Moyin girk, the first kick. And obviously we can come back later. Remember I showed you the dummy walk as a basic drill where you just walk around the dummy continuous. That's one of your basic practices. Now I learned to kick, so I can add that kick to this dummy walk. Just back and forth to be able to practice this kick. And you'll see this when we do our kicking section or kicking form as well. All right, I think that's it for section 3.